The Shikai transformation of the Zanpakuto has to be one of the most underrated aspects of the Bleach power system. This first release defines how 99% of battles play out, and frankly some of these Shikai are pretty broken and they make certain Bankai look like party tricks. In this video I'll be discussing who has the best Shikai in Bleach. I'll be talking about the most powerful and broken abilities of the Zanpakuto, as I'll be ranking the Shikai on their combat effectiveness, versatility, as well as their strengths and weaknesses. So without further delay, let's dive into the top 10 best Shikai in Bleach. In the number 10 spot, we have the Ice-type Zanpakuto Hyorinmaru. When Hitsugaya releases his Zanpakuto, the atmospheric pressure drops as moisture crystallizes and the weather system bends to his will. Hyorinmaru is considered as one of the strongest Ice-type Zanpakuto within the Soul Society, as Hitsugaya doesn't require water to be present in order to use his powers, as he takes advantage of the moisture in the atmosphere, so all water comes under Hitsugaya's control thanks to his Zanpakuto. When his Shikai is released, an immense amount of Reiatsu flows from the tip of Hyorinmaru, as it manifests a ice-shaped Chinese dragon. This dragon is able to hunt targets while Hitsugaya focuses on direct combat. Hitsugaya is able to create multiple ice dragons in order to attack his opponents from different angles. One of the most fundamental and strongest abilities of Hyorinmaru is Tenso Juren. This enables Hitsugaya to change the weather in his immediate surroundings. This is done through manipulating the water in the atmosphere. Tenso Juren has been seen to be used in both his Shikai and Bankai form. I think Hyorinmaru would definitely be higher on this list if Hitsugaya had demonstrated some of the Shikai abilities while in his adult transformation, but unfortunately we have only really seen his Bankai abilities while in that adult form. Despite this, I truly believe that Hyorinmaru is the strongest Ice-type Zanpakuto, and for this reason it's earned the number 10 spot on the top 10 Shikai list. Next we have the iconic Shikai of Byakuya Kuchiki Zenbon-Zakura. The release of Byakuya Zanpakuto results in thousands of blade petal fragments moving faster than the eye can track, attacking the opponent from every conceivable angle. Zenbon-Zakura solves the issue of coverage when it comes to sword fights. His microscopic blade petals eliminate blind spots entirely, as you're not fighting a swordsman, you're fighting a swarm of sharp blades. Byakuya's defensive options with his Shikai prove to be equally devastating, as these very petals can form barriers that deflect attacks or create protective walls around allies. Zenbon-Zakura has a safe zone in order to prevent Byakuya from being damaged by his own blade petals. The blade petals don't attack anything within an 85 cm radius of Byakuya. After he had trained at the Royal Palace, Byakuya gained a better understanding of his Shikai, as the strength of his attacks as well as his defensive options were massively improved. His Shikai had become so powerful that Asnod had confused it for his Bankai. Following his training, he was able to swiftly defeat Sternritters like Nanana and Candice by striking each of them with the Shikai release of Zenbon-Zakura. For how iconic this Shikai is, and for the massive improvements that it received following Byakuya's Royal Palace training, this is why it's earned the 9th spot on this list. Next, we have the Shikai of Kisuke Urahara's Zanpakuto Benihime. Benihime possesses the ability of creating and restructuring red energy. Urahara is able to use this for a variety of different techniques. His technique Scream Benihime results in him firing off these destructive red-colored energy blasts. This ability is so powerful that it can match a point-blank Sero from a Espada level Arrancar. Kamisori Benihime allows Urahara to fire off an energy wave which can cut through materials and substances with ease. After Urahara has analyzed the reishi composition of an opponent's attack, he can use Supane Benihime, where he draws a circle of energy with the edge of his Zanpakuto, and if he times it right, he is able to cancel out an opponent's attack. Another key ability that he has in his Shikai is his Blood Mist Shield, which can absorb enemy attacks and redirect that energy through Scream Benihime's focused attacks. As you can see from all of these different abilities, Urahara can create several tactical combinations, thus giving him an insane level of versatility. He demonstrated this when he briefly fought against Yami, as Urahara never got locked into a single approach. He was constantly shifting his tactics before his opponent could figure out what he was doing. Even his his ability Shibari Benihime allows him to condense his energy and to form a tangible blood-red net. This net is able to restrict and bind an opponent's movements, and it's yet another example of the insanely versatile nature of Urahara's Shikai. In the number 7 spot, we have the dual-bladed Shikai of Shunsui Kyoraku called Katen Kyokotsu. Shunsui Shikai has the unique power of transforming children's games into reality. His techniques are based off of Japanese childhood games. The mechanics of these games serve a specific purpose. Takaoni was used during Shunsui's fight with Stark, as it allowed him to teleport a great distance above his opponent and thus close the gap between them. Shunsui had explained that the point of this game is that whoever is higher up wins. His game Kageoni is equally unique and impressive, as whoever gets their shadow stepped on loses. During this game, participants are able to manipulate their shadow in order to win. He had used this game during his battle against Lil Barrow, where he was able to hide himself in the shadows. The game Airuni is a color-based one, so participants need to say the name of the color that they want to cut with their sword, and they are unable to cut anything else. So if the color that you call out does not exist on your own body, then the damage you receive is minimal. But the converse is also true, so if you call out a color that you are wearing and you attack, then the damage that is given is proportional to the amount of color that is on your body. So to maximize damage, you have to use a color that maximizes the risks to yourself as well as your enemy. So yeah, it is quite risky, with the Shinigami usually wearing black robes. If the color black is called out, then they of course would be able to inflict massive damage, but the caller of that color could be potentially at risk, as they could also receive major damage in return, depending on how much of their opponent's skin or clothing is covered in the color black. Shunsui also has a game called Daruma-san, which is the Eastern equivalent of red light, green light. If the person who is it sees their opponent while they are moving, then that opponent loses and thus dies. The games that Shunsui plays with his Shikai exploit learned reflexes, so even veteran fighters who rely on muscle memory and pattern recognition will be at a massive disadvantage, as they'll be at the mercy of Katen Kyokotsu. Every instinctive move that you may make could break a rule within Shunsui's game, and it may result in your instant death. Shunsui's Shikai is truly incredible, as he is able to fight dirty by making the battlefield itself untrustworthy. Here's where things get really interesting, as in the number 6 spot we have Enra Kyoten, the Zanpakuto that belongs to the noble Tsunayashiro family. This is one of the most oldest Zanpakuto out there. Now this Zanpakuto does have some impressive power, but it also comes with a curse. Anyone who uses it will have their remaining lifespan permanently reduced for as long as Enra Kyoten is wielded by them. Enra Kyoten is able to copy any ability of a Zanpakuto that its current wielder has witnessed beforehand. When Tokinada was in possession of it, it was shown to replicate the abilities of Senbon Sakura, Ryujin Jaka, and even the illusions of Kyoka Suigetsu. Enra Kyoten can even mimic several powers at once, and the powers that are demonstrated from the Zanpakuto are scaled to the Reiatsu level of the wielder of Enra Kyoten. So if Tokinada is weaker than somebody like Aizen, then Tokinada's version of Kyoka Suigetsu will be weaker than Aizen's. This is definitely a very impressive Shikai, and if it was wielded by somebody as powerful as Aizen, then it would definitely make them unstoppable. In the number 5th spot, we have Nozarashi, the Zanpakuto of Kinpachi. This newly awakened Shikai makes its debut following Kinpachi's training with Unohana during the 1000-Year Blood War arc. In its released state, his Zanpakuto possesses insane amounts of attack power, as it can easily destroy a massive meteorite with a single strike. Nozarashi's cutting power when its Shikai is active is massively enhanced, as it can even cut through space itself. When Nozarashi is released, it transforms into an oversized axe with a long handle that is wrapped in cloth and a green tassel on its end. Next up, we have the Shikai Ryujin Jaka, which belongs of course to Head Captain Yamamoto. With its release command Reduce All Creation to Ash, Yamamoto releases an insane amount of Reiatsu. This affects the surroundings, and the heat that it emits can be felt even from miles away. His Zanpakuto is surrounded in fire as it burns anything that it touches, literally transforming it into ash. Only a few powerful individuals like Shunsui and Ukitake are actually able to resist the power of Yamamoto's Shikai in order to face off against it. The flames of Ryujin Jaka are so potent that Aizen had to take countermeasures in order to specifically deal with this Shikai. He ended up creating the Arrancar Wonderwise for the sole purpose of nullifying magnifying the flames of Yamamoto's Shikai, we see several abilities from the Shikai of Ryujin Jaka which are demonstrated during the Fake Karakura Town arc, like Jogaku Enjo, which creates a massive wall of flames that surrounds Yamamoto's target. This was strong enough to trap Tozen, Aizen, and even Gin for quite a long period of time. In general, Yamamoto is able to control the intensity of the flames that are emitted from his Shikai, and he is even able to choose who the flames of his Shikai will target. The most significant power of Ryujin Jaka is Ennetsu Jigoku. This involves 7 pillars of fire surrounding Yamamoto's opponent, trapping them in a prison of fire, as this technique can destroy everyone who is caught up in the attack, even including Yamamoto himself. With a Shikai as powerful as this, it makes sense as to why Yamamoto has only used his Bankai probably a handful of times in the entire history of his battles. In the number 3 spot, we have the impressive Shikai of Ichibei Hyosobe called Ichimonji. Ichibei's brush-shaped Zanpakuto is released as it transforms into a long brush with the tip of it turning into a short blade. Additionally, a black circle of ink appears behind him, and when he activates his Shikai, it results in anything that comes in contact with his black ink losing its name, thus losing all of its power. Ichibei has the power to control anything with the color black, even if they are dead or alive. So if his Shikai is stolen by the enemy, it cannot be used by that individual because Ichibei is in control of all of the black in the universe, so his powers do end up returning to him, thus granting him immunity against all power absorption abilities. One of the most impressive powers that Ichibei demonstrates with his Shikai involves him gathering a large amount of darkness and filling a cup and drinking from it as he chants a spell to summon the magnificent Death Mausoleum. With this impressive ability, he is able to remove the darkness from his opponent, and this includes their blood, flesh, and bones, as he leaves nothing behind. Anything destroyed by this ability cannot be restored. So effectively, all that Ichibei Zanpakuto has to do is to touch you or your Zanpakuto, and you will lose all of your power. Moving on to the number 2 best Shikai within all of Bleach, we have the newly revealed true Shikai of Ichigo Kurosaki. So after Ichigo's Bankai was broken during the first invasion of the Quincy, he learns that he has been using a false Zanpakuto the entire time. This means that the Shikai that we have seen was false and unrefined up until that point. After Ichigo learns about the truth of his past and the secrets of his inherited power, he has his Zanpakuto reforged with a real Asawuchi by the creator of the Zanpakuto, Uetsu Nimaya. So the true form of Ichigo's Zangetsu takes the form of a dual-bladed, constantly released Shikai, with one of the blades being the same size as his previous Zanpakuto, and the second blade being a much shorter one. Each of the blades represent very different aspects of Ichigo's powers, as his longer blade contains his Hollow and Shinigami powers, while his shorter blade represents his newly acquired Quincy powers. Ichigo's signature attack Getsuga Tensho is also enhanced with his true Shikai. He is able to create a crescent moon-shaped wave where he fires this towards his targets after he builds his Reiatsu to the tip of his blade, magnifying it and then firing it forward. His Getsuga Tensho is now far more powerful in his true Shikai state, as he does not need to do a full swing now, he just needs to point his smaller blade towards the enemy and motion a small cut in the air in order to unleash the attack. While his larger blade can also unleash a Getsuga Tensho, it appears black in color and is strong enough to blast a hole through the Soul King's palace and push back Yhwach several feet away. Ichigo also showcases a variation of his Getsuga Tensho in the form of Getsuga Jujisho, which involves him firing the attack with each of his blades, fusing them into one large cross-shaped attack. In his true Shikai state, he is able to use his Quincy, Hollow, and Shinigami powers, as Ichigo demonstrates this firsthand with his Horn of Salvation form. The fact that he can activate such a powerful merged Hollow form through his true Shikai alone is a testament to the raw power that Ichigo has within the first release of his Zanpakuto. He activates the Horn of Salvation form by shifting the balance of his power by awakening his inner Hollow through surging a large amount of Quincy Reiatsu. This disruption in the balance of his power transforms him into this new Hollow form. He demonstrates heightened speed, strength, and power in this state, as he also proves that he can combine a Hollow attack, which is the Gran Rei Saro, with his signature Getsuga Tensho attack in order to create a powerful new attack that was strong enough to injure Yhwach, who was empowered by the Soul working after having absorbed him. Now before I reveal the number 1 best Shikai, I want to talk about some honorable mentions that didn't quite make it onto the list. First up, we have the Shikai of Shinji Hirako Sakanade. This has the power to distort the perceptions of the enemy, thus making them see an inverted world. Another Shikai that I really like and was thinking about including was Izuru Kira's Wabisuke. With its power to double the weight of any object that it strikes, this can affect living and inanimate objects. Another honorable mention is Kazeshini, which belongs to Shuhei Hisagi. Hisagi's Shikai is very impressive as he can create unpredictable attack patterns. The chains that are connected to those scythe-like blades are able to be spun like deadly pinwheels, as Hisagi can extend them at range in order to ensnare his opponents. During the Fate Karakura Town arc, Hisagi uses the technique Kubikake. This is where Hisagi throws the chain of Kazeshini around the neck of his opponent. From here, he can retract the chain, thus strangling his opponent, or he can trap them and knock them off balance, bringing them towards him. Now we've come to the number 1 spot for the best Shikai in all of Bleach. Now all of these Shikai that we've spoken about have a lot of potential for improvement and versatility of use within a battle setting, but there really is one Shikai that stands above the rest. The number 1 best Shikai goes to none other than Sosuke Aizen's Kyoka Suigetsu. With its release command Shatter, he's able to gain the ability to completely control the 5 senses of his opponents. He is able to trick them to confuse the shape and form of one's person for another, and there are a few conditions required for his Shikai to work, as Kyoka Suigetsu is active on anyone who has seen his Shikai just once, and it works the second that it is activated. Aizen's Shikai works even against those who have seen his Shikai as long as 110 years ago, like the Vizards who were susceptible to it during the Fate Karakura Town arc, which takes place over 100 years after Aizen had first tricked them with his Shikai. When Aizen removes the effects of his Shikai, it shatters the illusion for his targets. His ability is pretty perfect, as it even works against those who are aware that they are under his hypnotic trance. They are powerless to do anything to stop his power, as Aizen can hypnotize multiple people at a time, thus making it very effective in battle, as he can trick his enemies to attack a decoy instead of himself, like when he had made the Shinigami and Vizards target Momo instead of himself. His Shikai was powerful enough to be effective against Yhwach and is broken the almighty ability. Aizen is one of the characters who never had his Bankai revealed, but this was because his Shikai was so impressive. As one of the main antagonists of Bleach, his powers really lived up to our expectations, and they left a lasting impression on us. So yeah, after having discussed the most powerful Shikai abilities in Bleach, I want to know what all of your thoughts are. Do you agree with my list for the top 10 best Shikai in the series, or do you think that I missed out a particular Shikai which was worth being on the list? Be sure to continue the discussion in the comments and let me know all of your own lists for the top 10 best Shikai. I look forward to reading all of your thoughts, and lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.